All right, well, let's get started at 6:01. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Prostate Cancer Support Group. Today is February in 2024. My name's Kathy Burns, and I'm the nurse practitioner in the GU Medical Oncology Department. GU stands for genitourinary, and it includes our specialties, which are prostate cancer, kidney cancer, bladder cancer, and testicular cancer. I've been working with the group for about 8 years, and it's been going strong with a host of topics that I hope are relevant to you, your partners, and your prostate cancer. I have a couple general announcements. Tonight, we are starting to include patients who are treated in our City of Hope cancer centers across the country in Chicago, Atlanta, and Phoenix. So I'm hoping that that will expand our reach as well as increase our numbers and hopefully bring in some other interesting and new topics. I welcome any attendees that are coming from those areas. I put my email in the chat. If you guys ever have questions, concerns, suggestions, please reach out to me at any time. I'm always looking for topics to present as well as new speakers and interesting things. Some of the topics that we're working on for this year include navigating mood changes while on hormone treatment. What is pharmacology, which means medications, and what do we know? What should we know about our medications and how they work? This might be a collaboration between our pharmacy team and me. We had some suggestions for acupuncture, erectile dysfunction and its treatment, a topic of navigating health insurance and finding sources for financial health with both medications and the cost of cancer care. Intermittent fasting, what we know about it and what is its effect on cancer and cancer treatment. What is surveillance for prostate cancer, and what are the best things that you can do to keep the cancer from returning? We're hoping to do a book club this year. There's a couple of books that have been suggested. One is called Radical Hope, and another one is one of the books in the Blue Zones series, or the places around the world where people live to 100. Both will be fairly quick reads, but if you have an interest or have another suggestion for a book, just let me know. We want to do a topic on sexuality. We want to do a topic on understanding your prostate cancer diagnosis. Do you know how to medically tell someone else what you have, what stage you are, what your Gleason score is, and all that? So we may work on that. As well as maybe doing a talk on functional strength balance. This is a kind of a hot topic. I know when I got together with my family at Christmas, one of the first things they wanted to do was get on the floor and see if everyone could get off the floor by themselves with arms and without arms. I thought that was interesting, but it was some sort of test of age, and my family can be a little competitive, so I thought that was kind of cool and interesting and odd, but it definitely is a practical thing for us, for any of us who live alone or would need help. So those are some of the topic ideas. Before I introduce our speaker for tonight, a quick reminder to mute yourselves, or I can do it from my end as well. And I want you to feel free to add a question to the chat, or to hold your questions till the end, and we will address them then. I'm going to introduce Elaine Siu. She is our speaker for tonight. Let me put her face there. There you are, Elaine. She is one of our fabulous clinical dietitians here at City of Hope. She works in Duarte. And I wanted to just do a plug because I think when I first started in cancer many years ago, one of my favorite colleagues and the one person who I always wanted to partner was our nutrition person. Dietitians are worth gold. And I wanted to clarify too that the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist. Dietitians have to have a specific degree and are licensed and credentialed. Nutritionists don't have to have a degree or be tested. Is that how I understand it correctly? So I think it's important to know the credentials of the person you're speaking with. So our nutrition team are made up of
registered dietitians.
Registered dietitians. All right. So thanks, Elaine. It's all you. Take it away.
Okay. Hi everyone. So welcome to the talk. So today we're going to be talking about gut health, and also we're going to touch on the topic of prostate cancer and the microbiome, how it's related. So let me first introduce a little bit about myself. I'm Elaine, and I'm a clinical dietitian here in City of Hope in Doherty. I've been at City of Hope for about 12 years. And I'm also the supervisor for our department. And my credentials, of course I have master. I am a registered dietitian. I am a CNSC, so I'm certified in nutrition support, so like tube feeding or like nutrition through the IV. I'm also a specialist in oncology nutrition. So that's my background. And so let's get started. So today we'll be talking about gut health. So we'll be talking about what it is, what affects the microbiome, what affects your gut health, what you can do to improve it, the current research on it, and how it relates to prostate cancer. And then we'll also do some questions and answers. So the gut microbiome is composed of trillions and trillions of microbiome in our body. So the microorganism is including all the living things. It includes bacteria, viruses, fungi, all these things in our gut microbiome. So, but there is a lot of things that can affect it, and an imbalance of this microbiome has been linked to a lot of disease. It includes the IBS, the irritable bowel syndrome, obesity, diabetes, allergies, immunoproblems, brain functions, psychiatric disorders, and of course, cancer. And this is such a big new topic, and it's like exploding everywhere. Everybody wants to learn about it because we found out it's so important in our regular health. So there is a really interesting expanding topic. So basically, the microbiome functions is to help break down non-digestible carbohydrates and provide energy for the gut. So when we eat food, our body doesn't digest everything. Some of them are actually digested by the bacteria. So when they do this, they provide actually calories and nutrients to the gut. So you probably have heard there's the good bacteria, there's bad bacteria. So the good bacteria, it helps to keep our body healthy and helps fight off the bad bacteria. So it helps a lot of our immune system is maintained in the gut. So it's about 75% of the immune system. So that's why it's really important that we do eat and we nourish our gut with these healthy foods, because 75% of your immune system is in the gut. So this is where there's a lot of things that you can do. And also, it also breaks down toxins and some of the drugs that we ingest. Yeah, it's interesting that it also makes a vitamin K and some vitamin Bs. So the gut microbiome, it does our gut just do so many things. So everybody have a different gut microbiome. It's like a fingerprint. And so everybody has a different makeup and different amount of certain organism and microbiome. So how we acquire it is from birth and from breast milk. It also depends on where you're living. So what soil and what area you're eating the food from, what microorganism you're exposed to on a regular basis. Of course, the diet as you grow up, it also changes your microbiomes and genes, of course. Other factors that you don't that will affect the microbiome are like infections, medications, so like antibiotics, obesity, physical activities even will affect the microbiome. So in a healthy person, the good bacteria weighs a lot more, they have a lot of more good bacteria than the bad bacteria, and so that's how our system balances balances itself. So, but whenever there's an illness, there's an infection, the balance can change. So, a lot of times when we have an infection, we do need to take antibiotics, and it's really important that we take them, or else the infection can take over. So it's important to killing the infections that's caused by bacteria. But when you take the antibiotics, not only does it kill the bad bacteria, it also can kill the good bacteria. So it will reduce the diversity in your gut and how much of the gut microbiome you have. So it will affect the amount and the variety of it. So the side effects could be that the good bacteria kills, it throws off your balance in the microbiome. And then side effects that a lot of people might probably already had before is that it can cause diarrhea, stomach upset, nausea, and then also taking the antibiotics, you can also increases your risk for opportunistic infections. So you don't want to take antibiotics for no reason, but it's really important that you do take your antibiotics as prescribed. So what can you do to improve your gut health? There's a lot of things we can do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about probiotics. So probiotics, by definition, is the life microorganisms that are intended to have health benefits. So general benefits of probiotics is that it suppresses the growth of the harmful bacteria. Remember, I had that balance, the scale. So if you have more of the good bacteria, the harmful bacteria can't grow. And it improves the barrier function of the GI tract. So it becomes like a barrier. Okay. It also regulates the immune system and reduces inflammation. So where can you find probiotics in food? So you probably all have heard yogurt. Yogurt is a good source. Kefir, which is similar to yogurt, and buttermilk. And it's also in fermented vegetables. So like kimchi, the Korean popular food, paegal, and sauerkraut. So these are the fermented vegetables. So it's also in fermented soy like tempeh, miso, natto, and fermented tea like kombucha. So these are food sources where you find the probiotics. So if for most people who are healthy, probiotics is generally safe. But if you're not used to taking probiotics, or if you're not used to eating yogurt and you suddenly eat a lot of yogurt, you can experience a lot of bloating and gas and even diarrhea initially. And then it is possible, but the risk is pretty low, but it's possible. For patients who are immunocompromised, have their gut had surgery to remove most of the gut, or if they have an inflammatory bowel disease, there is a chance that the bacteria can translocate. So it goes from the gut into the bloodstream, and it causes bacteremia and sepsis. This is when it gets very dangerous. So there is a chance if you're immunocompromised that, especially with the probiotic pills, you're not really sure what's in there, and there's a chance that it can cause the bacteria translocation. Okay, so supplements wise, probiotics is considered dietary supplements. So therefore, they are not regulated by the FDA. So any supplements, your vitamins, your whatever herbs you're taking, none of them are regulated by the FDA. So there is the question is that the quality of it, what they say is in there, and how pure it is. Those are questions that you should ask yourself before you take your supplements. So let's talk about prebiotics. Most people are familiar with probiotics. Not sure if you're familiar with prebiotics. So I consider prebiotics generally is just like food for our probiotics. So prebiotics is mostly found in high fiber foods. So your fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Um, these are fermented by the microorganism in our gut. It stimulates the growth and activity of the gut bacteria. So prebiotics, where you find them from the vegetables, you can find them in chicory root, dandelion greens, Jerusalem artichoke, onions, leeks, garlics, asparagus. And then in fruits, you can find them in apples, bananas, avocados, tomatoes. It's also found in the legumes. So things like chickpeas, lentils, edamame, beans, those are also high in prebiotics. Nuts and seeds, like chia seed, flax seeds, those are also very healthy for you. So not just prebiotics, these are, nuts and seeds are also a very good source of protein and fiber and a lot of nutrients. You can also find them in grains. So the whole grains like barley, wheat flour, oats, like oatmeal, those are also good sources of prebiotics. So let's talk a little bit about what the research say about the microbiome and prostate cancer. So remember, this is a very new topic. So there have been more research on the microbiome and diabetes. There's some more, research on microbiome in like allergies in general, or like autoimmune disease. So, but the researchers on prostate cancer is very, very new. So you would see that most of the research is basically within the last 3 years. So there is a lot of unknowns in this topic, and so I'm just going to touch on some of the research that's been done, and some information you might find confusing. So, so the link between microbiome and disease, like I said, has been done in diabetes, obesity, even like brain function. So even like depression, anxiety has been linked to this imbalance of the microbiome. So our moods has been found to be affected, and of course cancer, different type of cancer, but most of the cancer and microbiome research is done mostly on the like colorectal cancer area. So in the prostate cancer research, a lot of study has found that men who were diagnosed with prostate cancer had the microbiomes that is different from those who are not. So a lot of the research say they're different. Some say it could be other cofactors. So in general, they find that those who have increased risk of the prostate cancer, they find these bacteria's microbiomes more so in their gut, whereas those who are at low risk or didn't develop the prostate cancer in the research, they have more of these three microbiomes. So let's I can't even pronounce that microbiome, but I'm gonna say FP. So these you can find it in fruits, red wine, fatty fish, legumes, and cereals. And this AM, you can find it mostly in foods such as like onions, garlic, leeks, like the prebiotics we talked about. And then PS is mostly found in vegetables, beans, nuts, and pickled foods. So also the food that we just talked about. So there are many factors in the development of cancer in general, and then also in prostate cancer. So it's multifactorial. So bacteria, they produce toxins. Then those toxins can cause DNA damage. And also some bacteria can actually produce testosterone. And I will talk about that in a little bit more. And also bacteria can also cause the inflammation. And also that can lead to cancer development and viral infection. So there's some studies showing that HPV, CMV virus, and a lot of the sexual transmitted disease also can lead to prostate cancer. and of course diets. This is where I'm going to emphasize more on today. So Western diet, obesity, high fat, high animal fat diet, well, short chain fatty acid. There has been some link with that and prostate cancer, and all these also cause inflammation and then causing DNA damage, which can also cause cancer development. So a Western diet. So when we talk about a Western diet, we're talking about a lot of times is fast food, burgers, fries, fried chicken, pizza, things, those kind of food, which is generally very high in fat, low, very high in sodium, low in nutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, low in fiber. And there's a study that shows that even just 2 days of following a Western diet changed the participants' gut microbiota dramatically. They have a dramatic decrease in the bacteria, which is usually found to be beneficial. The Bifidobacterium and Eubacterium species, they found it is lower when people follow a Western diet. They found it can cause an inflammatory environment in the gut, and is also that is directly, eating a Western diet has been linked to a prostate cancer risk. And just eating a high Western diet will increases the chance and risk of obesity, which obesity itself can increases the risk for prostate cancer. So a high animal fat diet has been also linked to prostate cancer. So a high fat diet it increases inflammation, and also increases the cytokines, and that has been shown to lead to cancer growth. So, and then they found that a high animal fat diet leads to the decrease in this bacteria and increases in Firmicutes and Proteobacteria. It also has been shown to increase testosterone level. And they found that in the mice studies that when they give the mice a high fat diet to become obese, they also increases the prostate cancer growth. But interestingly, when they gave the mice antibiotics, which kills off the both good and bad bacteria, that increase in risk was eliminated. So that was very interesting for me. And then short chain fatty acids. So when we eat fiber, the microbiomes in our gut, they digest it, and make these things they break down the food and they make these things called short chain fatty acids. So the three main fatty acids, short chain ones, are acetate, propionate, and butyrate. So in general, there's been a lot of research that shows how beneficial these short chain fatty acids are. So they have been shown to reduce inflammation, reduces the risk for obesity, diabetes, cancer, especially colorectal cancer, heart disease, liver disease, in so many different diseases. It's shown to be beneficial. It's also shown to be beneficial in infections. And this is the energy source of what the gut bacteria uses. However, this seems, on some research, it seems to have the opposite effect in prostate cancer. So that was very interesting. It found that obesity reduces the short chain fatty acid, this bacteria, but actually the total amount of the short chain fatty acid increases in obese individuals. So there's a reduce in this bacteria, but there's more short chain fatty acid. So does that mean some other microbes are producing these short chain fatty acid? We don't know. And then for castration-resistant prostate cancer patients, they found a higher amount of these three microbes. And then these are the microbes that produce these short-chain fatty acids. And then another study found that the fat intake increases the short-chain fatty acid in mice and also their prostate cancer progression. And again, when they were given the antibiotics, the short-chain fatty acid decreases and the progression of the prostate cancer was eliminated. They also tried giving these mice short-chain fatty acid and found that it also grows the prostate cancer cells. So what another interesting study was that they did when they gave the mice they did a fecal transplant. So that means that they gave basically the stool of the prostate cancer patients, and gave it to the mice. The mice have more prostate cancer progression. So there's a lot about scientific studies and talks. So what does it mean for us? So when I was reading it, the research was very interesting, but also very confusing. So of course, when you do research, as especially is new, you'll find a lot of back and forth between what is good and what is not. So we don't really know how to manipulate our gut microbiome yet, but what we know is that generally when you follow a healthy diet, eating not a Western diet with fast foods, eating more fiber, eating more vegetarian food, especially keeping a healthy weight is what really beneficial to us in preventing prostate cancer and also other diseases. So what you should do is that you want to keep a healthy weight. So a healthy BMI depends on your age. If you're age over 65 years old, you want to be at a little higher on the BMI, and between 22 to 29.9. But if you're under 65 years old, a healthy BMI for you is about 18 to under 25. And it's not just their BMI. Some people might have a lower BMI. They might be thin overall, but then they have a big belly. So if their waist circumference is higher than 35 for a woman or higher than 40 for a man, that also increases your risk in all kinds of diseases. So for your diet, you want to choose a healthy, balanced diet that includes both probiotics and prebiotics in general. You want to eat more of a plant-based diet, avoiding a Western diet. That's because those are high in sugar, salt, low in nutrients, antioxidants, because they are high in saturated fat and animal fat. They are usually high in processed food, luncheon meat, luncheon meat is directly linked to cancer. And they are also low in fiber. And regarding sugar, the studies are quite controversial, but generally we do recommend limiting both sugar and artificial sweeteners. So that's your Splenda equal, sweet and low, because some study has found that artificial sweeteners can also have a negative effect on the gut microbiome. It can also worsen glucose intolerance. So some of the most common questions that I get from when I talk about the microbiome is that, so how much probiotics should I take? What is the right dose? Well, we really don't know. Probiotics generally, you can see on the label, it will be measured by CFU, which is colony forming units. Most of the time you'll see it in billions, but there's no standard dosing. So we don't know how much is right, how much of each strain of how much is right. So not, again, as I said before, it's not regulated, and there are so many different trillions of strains of the probiotics that we don't know what does what. There are studies, and we've found some of them, certain ones are associated with diarrhea, helps with diarrhea, some are helpful in infections, but that's very general, and we don't know exactly what strain does what. So do live probiotics survive and make it into the intestines after going through the stomach, which is so acidic? So yes, some of it survive. So about 20 to 40% of the probiotics will generally survive. And why do some probiotic supplements need to be refrigerated, but some others don't? Well, it really depends on how they make the probiotics. So, and which probiotic it is. So some probiotics, bacteria are more sensitive to heat and moisture, and they need to be refrigerated. So that's why some of the probiotics you'll find is they are freeze dried and they don't need to be refrigerated. Some you'll find it in the refrigerator aisle. So it depends on the probiotics. So make sure you check the label of what the manufacturer recommend if it needs to be refrigerated or not. And make sure you check the use by date, because if it's expired, most likely most of the probiotics is gone. And what's the difference between regular yogurt and those that are marketed as probiotics? So regular yogurt is made by a fermentation process. They use a starter bacteria, lactobacillus and streptococcus. So probiotic yogurts that's marketed have additional strains of bacteria that has been studied. So like Activia have their own strain of yogurt that they study. And there's yogurt strain that they use has been shown to be beneficial, more so for like the GI distress, like diarrhea, having regulating your bowel movements a little better. So that's what that strain does. So and so when you buy back probiotics yogurts, you want to look at the label, and if you see live and active cultures, that means that is has at least 100 million active starter cultures per gram. So it's more likely that you'll have some benefits from it. So in conclusion, gut microbiome has been associated with many health conditions: obesity, diabetes, cancer, immunities, allergies, diarrhea, so many things. So this is a great expanding area of research, and like new studies are coming out like every month. So but we still need a lot of research. We still need a tremendous amount of research to find out what strain, what probiotics, how do we modify it, and to help us in our health. So until then, and even after then, it's still important that we do eat a healthy, balanced diet that contains a variety of probiotics, prebiotics, healthy proteins. There's a healthy, balanced diet. So I want to give you some ideas of how you can incorporate the probiotics and prebiotics into your diets. So easy ways are smoothies. I like doing smoothies. So if you do like a breakfast smoothie with yogurt or kefir, adding berries, bananas. I also like to add some protein powder, and that can also it could be a very good, balanced, healthy breakfast. You can do banana nut whole wheat muffin. You can do guacamole, with the avocados, and it's the tomatoes. Those are all good prebiotics with some whole grain tortilla. You can even add some Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt to it to give you some more protein and probiotics. And miso soup. Did I hear a question? Okay. Miso soup with onions, stir fry with garlics, a lot of vegetables, leeks, cook with a lot of different vegetables. You also want it, when you cook vegetables, also consider the different colors. Different colors of vegetables and fruits will give you a different kind of my God, I lost my words. Antioxidants. So different antioxidants also is very important to help preventing the DNA damage. So very important to add a different variety of colors to your diet. You can also snack in hummus dips with cucumbers and nuts. Roasting Jerusalem artichoke, asparagus, garlics, onions, sweet potatoes as a side dish. That's also a very good, easy way to add some probiotics and prebiotics to your diet.